been a few days now, and with me being quick on the pulse as ever, I've decided to give my thoughts on Liverpool's recent demolition of Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen with a display that could not be more Anfield if it tried. It was a terrific display of attacking football, resilient defending, and two master tacticians in managers trying to figure out a way to outplay one another. So with that in mind, welcome to Good Sport Reviews, and this is 5 things we learned from Liverpool 4, Bayer Leverkusen 0. And if you could do me the honours of clicking subscribe, that would be fantastic. And let's reach 3,000 by the end of the year. Number 5, the atmosphere is out of the stratosphere. In recent months, maybe even the past year, a trip to Anfield hasn't always felt that full of energy. Okay, yes, there were a few moments towards the end of last season, like when Man City made the trip to Merseyside, or when Klopp was making his final appearance for the club, but on the overall spectrum, the world-renowned electric atmosphere hasn't always felt that way. And on paper, yes, I get it. It's impossible to keep the atmosphere at a 10 for every single game, every single week. It's like an episode of X Factor if the singers were never stopping singing. But it's been downright quiet at points, and that's been the same at certain points this season, but not for the past 2 matches. We saw against Brighton just how big of an impact the Reds fan base has on a match, with Fabian Hertzler himself saying that the environment played a pivotal role in the outcome of the game. And against Leverkusen, we saw the same thing in the second half, with Alonso and his staff trying to calm the players down to little success. And that's what the atmosphere should be like. It shouldn't be singing and chanting because you feel obliged to. It shouldn't be shouting names because you feel you have to at that point in the game. It becomes meaningless and devoid of purpose and passion. The atmosphere and fan engagement in the match is there to motivate the players when they need it most, when they're tired and ran down or struggling to break down a defensively astute side like we saw against the German outfit. They need that extra boost of emotion and energy to get the job done, and that's happening more often than usual lately. Number 4, Luis Diaz as a striker? Yes please, I'll have thirds. Luis Diaz may be one of the most criminally underrated attackers in the Premier League at the moment. At the time of this recording, he's on 9 goals and 2 assists in the last 15 matches, and while most of them have come from his trademark cutting in from the left and having an attempt at goal, that Leverkusen game, up until the introduction of Darwin Núñez, we saw a much more central Luis Diaz throughout the match, which was a breath of fresh air for the left winger. While Núñez is also a fast and physical striker, it's his decision making and composure which seems to cost him in the big moments, often blasting shots with power more than purpose. But with Diaz, it's quite the opposite, with that first goal stemming from a beautiful chip over the Leverkusen keeper from a darting central run behind the defence, the second of his 3 being a brilliant take from a cross with a touch so good I think it got Slot pregnant, and the third goal, while lucky in a sense, came from his desire to sprint through the middle to accommodate the trajectory of Núñez, with him only moving far enough out wide at the last moment to anticipate the rebound for the easy tap-in. Since his arrival at the club, Luis Diaz has struggled with these comparisons, and I've said so myself multiple times, but that performance against Leverkusen was Sadio Mane-like. Every run towards the box was with purpose. The chip over the keeper was something Mane managed several times during his Liverpool stint, and he was the best player on the night for the club. Followed closely by number 3, Curtis Jones has found his role. While it's always been easy to look at Curtis Jones and think squad player, the past few weeks have shown that he's developing into a more well-rounded individual under the leadership of Arne Slot than he had done during the previous Klopp regime. This was shown throughout the Champions League fixture, with his 5th start in the last 7 matches, as the Scouse midfielder rarely found his stride, operating predominantly as a right-sided central midfielder, tracking back and adding an extra layer of defensive support for Trent and Konate in an almost Wijnaldum-style role, with him winning 4 of his 5 duels, which was the second most of any Red on the night behind only Ryan Gravenberch, and providing key passes going forward, with him ending the match with a pass completion rate of 90%, 3 of his 27 passes being key ones, and 1 of those being an assist for the beautiful Luis Diaz goal. It's refreshing to see Curtis Jones operating so frequently in this new system, when many people were so quick to write him off after what could only be described as a disappointing term last season. He still has so much to contribute, and providing he can stay fit, it's looking likely that he'll only go from strength to strength under Slot. Number 2, turnovers at the speed of light. Under this new Arne Slot way of playing, a lot of the impetus seems to be with Liverpool having more possession of the ball throughout the 90 minutes, with them only having less of the ball 3 times this season and 5 matches seeing them boast over 60% of possession. And while it seems to be the opposite of what Slot wants, it doesn't mean fans have to worry, as the lightning quick turnarounds when Liverpool win the ball back look more dangerous than ever. Like we saw against Brighton last week, the system allows as many options as possible going forward as soon as Liverpool win the ball back, due to the positional sense of the attackers, which we lacked at points last season due to the intense pressing, leaving us devoid of attackers being where they needed to be, i.e. the Manchester United game in the league, which resulted in a draw due to a lack of attackers up front. And this was best shown when we hit Leverkusen for 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes, and we saw the previously mentioned Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo finding themselves in all sorts of opportunistic positions throughout the second half. It's one thing winning the ball back fast, it's another winning the ball back and having the ability to move it forward with purpose, and we are seeing that on repeat this season. And number 1, Arne Slot is proving everyone wrong. Now, be honest with yourselves here, and I mean really honest. No one, not one person, expected Arne Slot to take over from Jurgen Klopp and get this team playing the way he has in such a short space of time, let alone find himself in charge of a team on top of both the Premier League and Champions League tables at the same time. This Liverpool side has taken to Arne Slot's system like a duck to water or a Man City to a financial doping scheme, and seems to be going from strength to strength, learning to successfully adapt to the opposition they face, often during the match itself. This Bayer Leverkusen team last season were one of the best in European football and looked like a side that defensively was set up to prevent any Liverpool attack that posed a threat, but Arne Slot was able to find a way to break down the 3-5-2 system as set up by Xabi Alonso by moving the defensive line 10 yards up the pitch, putting pressure on the Leverkusen back line and opening space in behind. In many matches this season, Slot has shown adaptability in his tactics and is being imprinted on the side time and time again at a time in Liverpool's history where many people were doubting we could reach the same level set by Klopp. And while it's far too early to be saying we're at the same stage yet, Slot isn't giving us much to think otherwise. And that's our list. If you are new around here, please make sure to click like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what you want to see in the next video, and I will see you all for the next one.